Our top focus, Prime Minister Narendra Modi began his second day in Brisbane with an informal meeting with world leaders of BRICS countries. In fact, setting the stage for the G20 summit today, Modi raised the issue of black money. He said unaccounted money abroad is also linked to security challenges. He said repatriation of unaccounted money kept abroad is a priority for India. He also pushed for close coordination between countries on unaccounted money kept abroad. During the meeting, Modi had an informal interaction with Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin, Brazil's Dilma Rousseff and South Africa's Jacob Zuma. The leaders also discussed the agenda of the summit. In the meeting, launching of a new BRICS Development Bank and the pool of contingent currency reserves were also discussed.
The Contingent Reserve Agreement is also a very timely initiative. The work on the re-ensure pool among BRICS is also a welcome one. We hope that our official will be able to come up with a concrete proposal by the next year. These measures send a strong message to the rest of the world about the efficacy of BRICS. Besides this, we have started work on many other proposals that would deepen our relations and enhance our cooperation in all spheres. Thank you very much.
Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to meet the French President ahead of the G20 summit today. Modi will utilize the summit to flag India's concerns over jobless growth prospects. After the summit, he will attend the first plenary session and hold a series of talks with the heads of state, including Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Let's get a word from TV Today's managing editor Rahul KANWAL. He's with us live from Brisbane this morning. Good morning, Rahul. A packed schedule waits the Prime Minister. He's managed to push India's agenda in his meetings that took place in his first day in Brisbane.
Well, see, most of the time before the G20 summit actually begins, the leaders of the BRICS get together in the morning. That meeting happened at 8:30 a.m. this morning, where they discussed the BRICS' agenda in the G20, and that was the first meeting where the Prime Minister spoke about the need to bring unaccounted money back into India. Black money has been a big electoral promise, and the Prime Minister is being looked at very carefully to see whether or not he can deliver on that promise. The primary idea from what the Minister of External Affairs told us was to push for an agreement between nations. As of now, there's a bilateral agreement that is signed between nations which requires for income tax authorities to be made available all the information about bank accounts in the other country. But right now it happens on a bilateral basis. We have to sign 190 agreements with various countries to be able to have a global such agreement. But what they're pushing for is that by 2017-2018, all tax authorities in any country can ask for specific information about specific accounts. This, they believe, will create a whole amount of transparency which lacks at this time, and make it far easier for income tax authorities to be able to access information about unaccounted money stashed away in foreign accounts. That's the first push that the Prime Minister has. There is a global agreement that is already in the pipeline, that has been in the pipeline, which predates Modi. But what they're trying to do is to push this agreement so that it moves with greater resolve. There are naturally countries, especially those that are perceived as tax havens, that would not want this agreement to move with any speed. I think that's the one thing that the Prime Minister is pushing for. The other thing is repatriation of money by Indians who are working abroad. That is taxed differently in different countries. In some countries it goes up to about 10%. What they're trying to do, especially for those who work for short periods, is to have this money brought back at a very reasonable and uniform standard of taxation, rate of taxation. That's what the Prime Minister is pushing for. He's meeting yesterday with the President of the European Union, also with Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan. Was quite a big hit. He invited David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, and the others he met yesterday to come and invest in Indian railways to help modernize the Indian railways. So he's been pushing a tough agenda, and he's been pushing India's agenda in the meetings that he's been doing over the past 24 hours here at BRICS, and that here at the G20, and that continues all through the day-to-day thing.
Right, and Rahul, also important that the Prime Minister is highlighting security risks linked to black money accounts.
Oh, absolutely. Because while black money has become a major issue in India and also in the United States, laws much tougher than they've ever been, and now a lot of pressure put, for example, on Swiss banks to make these details available. In other places, it's not so much for the Prime Minister to be able to achieve a global consensus. He's also linking it with terror financing, with the fact that, you know, if you don't know whose money it is, if you don't know where it's lying, then there's a high possibility of this money being used for financing terror. And terror is a global threat at this time, and that's a currency that everyone understands and would like to deal with equally. And that is a very real threat as well. There's also, of course, the whole angle of corruption, extortion, where black money is stashed away. But that is on the one side. But by linking it with terror, what the Prime Minister is trying to do is evolve a global consensus faster, because the current timeline is 2017, 2018. It could spill over, but the Prime Minister is trying to push hard to try and ensure that the world agrees on this trade, on this agreement on black money. The most significant thing, though, Simi, which I don't think we're focusing on enough, is the trade facilitation agreement, the Bali round, which was stuck because of India's insistence on the food security clauses, has finally been cleared. Late last night, when the Minister of External Affairs briefed us, we found out that the Prime Minister has agreed to a new formulation, which he's presented before the American president. Now the WTO tells us that within the next 2 weeks, the trade facilitation agreement, which is essentially about global customs, easing the manner in which you can do business, standardizing custom rates, lowering them, making it much easier for imports and exports across countries. That agreement, which is considered one of the most important pillars of global trade, which had been held up on account of India's insistence on the food security clauses, has actually been given a green signal. And this is the context in which, when Obama met Modi in Myanmar, the MEA tweeted to say, Prime Minister, you're a man of action. That's what Obama apparently said. The full context wasn't understood immediately, but that is because the TFA, the Trade Facilitation Agreement, which had been stuck for many months now on account of India's position. India was being perceived as a global villain. The Prime Minister was being looked at very carefully, that here's a Prime Minister who says he's for free trade, yet his country holds up the TFA, which is the biggest boost to free trade globally. Then how do you reconcile the two? The Prime Minister has now found a formulation where he believes India's needs for food security will not get compromised, and yet we can move ahead with the Trade Facilitation Agreement. That, to my mind, is the single biggest, most concrete takeaway which has been achieved so far at the G20 here in Brisbane.